Good evening.
Today is the 24th day of March 2014, and I'm very happy to tell you that I have a friend of many years to be with us tonight, Shipra. Welcome, Shipra.
Thank you, Manarad. Thank you.
Generally, the first question we always ask is, how did you first hear of Sri Aurobindo and Mother?
Well, I belong to a Bengali family, and by and large, all Bengalis know about Sri Aurobindo. I was very little when I was reading through the Statesman, it's a daily, the engagement column in Delhi. And there, it was, one of the engagements was Sri Aurobindo Study Circle. I didn't know anything what is study, what is circle. I was so small. But I still wanted to go. It was not very far from my house. But then I realized that I won't understand. I don't even know what is study circle.
How old were you then?
I think I was about 8. So I just left it at that. Then, later on, in between, I don't know which year, in the Illustrated Weekly of India, there was a very big coverage on the mother. And all my parents and everybody, they were all looking at it very beautifully. And my mother was going on saying, see, she's 80 and she's playing tennis. See, she's 80. They were going on, that was the most striking thing for them, that even at 80, she's playing tennis. They didn't give much importance to the spiritual side because they were not that way inclined. That was that. Then my maternal uncle, he was very much into Sri Aurobindo in the sense they were remotely devotees. They were, in most of the Bengalis, either they have Sri Ramakrishna as their guru, or Sri Aurobindo, or Anandamayi Ma.
Ah, okay.
They normally, one of them, they are connected with. And my maternal uncle, he was connected to Sri Aurobindo. He had his photo in his house. And Himanshu Niyogi, he was a devotee and very close to Mother's work in Calcutta. He was living just opposite to their house. And they always used to say, oh, he will go, he will bring blessings, he will do this, he will do that. I didn't understand all these things, but I knew that there is somebody, Sri Aurobindo I knew, but I really didn't know about his spiritual side at all. And then, of course, he left his body, and that was all over the media. Then also, I noted it, but nothing less, nothing more.
So this is 1950,
Yes.
when he left his body.
Yes.
And were any members of your family or their friends coming to the ashram regularly other than Himanshu?
No.
I see.
No.
So what brought you here?
Well, first I came to see this place as a skeptic.
Ah.
I
Do you remember the year, approximately?
1958.
58.
Yes. Because I was in Delhi and I failed in my compulsory Hindi test. So if you don't pass your compulsory Hindi, you don't get your degree. It's as simple as that.
I see.
So, I had to appear again only for that paper, then I would get the degree. So I had that few months, about 6 months, I had nothing to do. And a friend of mine came and said, look, you are just only studying Hindi and that's not enough. There is a school right very near. They have just opened the school. Why don't you go and teach there? I said, but I don't know anything about teaching. You just go and play with the children. So I went to, this was the Delhi ashram,
Right.
the Delhi branch. So I went there, and would you believe I don't know anything about Aurobindo, mother, anything. I just walk in, and one gentleman comes. He says, Grace has brought you here. Now, I really didn't, it blew me out. I didn't know anything. What is grace? I didn't say anything. I just smiled. And then he took me in and he left me with a bunch of children. They were really tiny tots. And I was a big child amongst them, and we were all playing. This gentleman who said, Grace has brought you here, was Mr. Pearson. You have heard of Mr. Pearson? Mr. Pearson is Richard's father. Richard Pearson's father.
Right, Richard's father, yes.
He was here before, and he left. He had to go to Delhi. Mother sent him to this.
Oh, did she? I didn't know that. I see. And she kept Richard here, I remember that.
Richard was very small.
Very small, yeah.
So he went and he started the school.
Oh, this was Surendranath?
Yes, same school.
Okay.
That school where
Right.
Tara is now
Yes,
looking after.
and became the Sri Aurobindo
Very-
Center, Delhi.
Yes, that is the place. So Mr. Pearson took me in, and then that day Surendranath ji was not there. He must have gone for some work. I didn't meet him. After a couple of days I met him, and I was very disappointed because he was on the surface, he was a businessman. And he really didn't understand what all this is going about, the school, the children, Mr. Pearson, and all. He had a school, he had a center, finished. He wanted maximum output from the school in terms of material things, not out of real education. And there were two other teachers, one Mrs. Shankar, she was a Malayali lady from Malaysia, and another was Mrs. Devasena. She was again a Malayali, she was from Delhi only. And Mrs. Shankar would always say, he knows nothing about education. He has only opened a school. And we used to really have great fun, We would, whenever there was a fight, Mr. Johar would say something, Mrs. Shankar would say, here is my letter, I'm just going out. And then again, they would say, no, please, please. So it would just go on and on and on. And, well, whatever may it be, we were a very happy group. The teachers, the children, the management, Mr. Johar, in spite of his whatever business thing or all, his devotion was definitely, you can't question that. And also he was an indefatigable worker. From morning till night he would work. Morning, he was never tired. He was a very good worker, but of course, everyone has all kinds. We are a mixed bag.
Yes,
So.
yes. How many children did you have at the time?
In the school, we had about, nursery where I was, about 30 children.
Oh, I see.
And then from nursery, they went to KG, 1 or 2. I also was promoted with them. like that, you know. We didn't have many teachers. We all used to make do with each other.
So how long were you there?
I was there, I think, for 2 years.
And during that time, what did you learn about Sri Aurobindo and Mother?
There used to be Sunday, whatever, but I was really not interested. The way it was being conducted, I was not.
Kind
it
of
was
satsang or
no, it was in the
classes?
No, it was not classes. People would just sit around and somebody would give a talk, and then there would be music, bhajans and all. I mean, anyway, it was not my cup of tea. I hardly went there. But you know, in 1959, I may be wrong, but I think it was 1959, Sri Aurobindo's relics went to Delhi, first time from Pondicherry. First time the relics were sent. And for that, we were really, you know, the teachers, we were very few, but we said, we will clean up the whole place and we will bring flowers, because they are stingy, they won't give us flowers, so we will contribute. So that is what we did. And as it turned out, just a couple of days before, Dr. Indra Sen, he was Astar's father, he came just to see whether the preparations were all right or not. And he said, see, that was something even today I remember. He said, in spiritual life, what is important is quality, not quantity. And then he amplified what he meant by quality. He said, if you're just running around all over the place, doing things, cleaning up, this, that anyone can do. All over the world, people are doing that.
Sure.
In spiritual life, when you do something, you have to do it consciously. You have to be aware. Even when you are cleaning the tables, because we were cleaning up the whole place, and we were really in a frenzy. He could see it. He said, even when you're cleaning, even when you're doing something, put your awareness, put your consciousness into what you're doing. That really struck me. Then, of course, the relics, when it came.
I should like to know as much as possible about the installation of the relics.
That was, who came? Dr. Indra Sen again went back. I don't remember that there were 3 people who came from
the ashram?
Pondicherry, and Imangshan Yogi was also one of them. And the relics were received at those days it was not this airport, it was a very small airport. It was called Palam Airport. It was received at about 5 o'clock at the Palam Airport, and it came to the ashram, and we were all ready. And really, you know, even though we didn't know anything, most of us didn't know anything, but there was so much of aspiration, devotion, love. Love was just flowing through everyone, you know. Everyone was thinking, oh, what is coming? They didn't know. Nobody knew what is relics. Really, we had no idea. Absolutely no idea. But you know, when it came, they alighted from the car, And there were about Dr. Indra Sen, Surendranath Ji. There were quite a few people who were, and they were holding the relics. You know, we were all lined up on both sides, teachers and students. And that Mrs. Shankar I was telling you, she said, no, we have to have oil lamps. And she lighted oil lamps everywhere. Beautiful. You know, that typical Kerala oil lamps she had lighted. And she said, no, we have to welcome him with oil lamps. We have to blow a conch. You know, she was so, and she was really a Christian lady. But she wanted all these things. And all of us, we organized. And then when the relics came, we just showered petals, rose petals. And the conch was blown. And of course the oil lamp. And there was such an intense, such an atmosphere, I can't tell you. And then of course they went to the hall. Again, you know, I didn't understand anything. I was just part of the whole thing, but I didn't go in. When the relics went inside the hall, because we had so much to do. We were only few, so we were again running around, and I didn't know anything. Next morning, the ceremony was to happen, and the person who was to give the commentary was Melville de Mello. He was a very famous All India radio broadcaster, very famous. Everybody, Melville de Mello was somebody. He gave a beautiful commentary, beautiful. And the place was exquisitely done by all the children and the teachers, by everybody. There were green leaves and gold marigolds everywhere. And, you know, all around the Samadhi, everywhere. It was really exquisite, very beautifully done. And C.D. Deshmukh, he was the finance minister of India, and of course he was an intellectual, a very famous man. He was asked to install the relics. He came for that. And you know, we were all given different jobs. My job was to look after the shoes. So we collected all the shoes and all. And most funniest thing is, C.D. Deshmukh's shoes were lost. But anyway, then it was okay. Then, after it was put inside, a telegram came. See, those days there were no phones. A telegram came from the mother that the relics cannot be left unattended the whole night. It was not sealed, you know, it was not sealed. So this was the message, that it has to be attended. So again, you know, December night, December in Delhi is really, really cold, and you had to stay there outside. So there were people who were giving vigil whole night, and then finally, next day it was properly sealed, and then mother was informed and everything was all right. But it was a very, very beautiful. And that brought many of us together, and I think that also brought many people to the ashram from Delhi and near about places. Ved Prakash was one of them.
I see.
Yes. Quite a few people came from that one function.
And then you came to the ashram after that, or you had come before?
No. I came after that.
After that. Mm-hmm.
I came after that. You see, at that time, I don't know how, one day, Chamanlal came to the Delhi branch. He was not part of the Delhi branch. But he came, and Mrs. Shankar said that he's another of Johor's person has come. And we all started laughing. So, but then later on, I just happened to meet him, and I found out that he's a scientist, and he's not Johor's some relative or something. But anyway, I didn't react or anything. Then later on, we became friends, and he was, of course, into it, and I knew nothing. So when he would say something about the ashram, not ashram, about Sri Aurobindo, not ashram, because it was not necessary, I always had somehow I was very skeptical. So one day, I just thought that why don't I go and see this place? When everybody is talking so much, why don't I go and see? So that is how I came in 1958, late December.
Late December.
Yes.
What was your first experience on coming here?
Well, it's very funny. First, when I came, see, those days, there were very few people, hardly any. And there was one person who used to look after the Bureau Central. It used to be in this Ganesh temple complex. What was his name? You remember his name? He's so familiar to me. I shouldn't forget his name.
So tell us what happened.
So even the rickshaw fellows, nobody came here. Only people who were coming to ashram, they would come. So you get off at the railway station. There were only train, no buses. So the rickshaw fellow takes your baggage, everything, and you sweetly, like a docile child, you just surrender. He just brings you, he puts you on the rickshaw, he takes your luggage, and you know what he did? He brought me to Kameshwar. He brought me to him. And he was a very sweet person. He gave me a little pass, and he said that this is where you will stay. And I didn't know he said this is lodging and this is boarding. I really didn't know what is lodging, where it is, and boarding. So I just took that and I came to the rickshaw. The rickshaw fellow says, sit, because he doesn't know our language. We don't know Tamil or any. So I sit. Then he takes me, I don't know where he's taking me. He takes me to just in front of the dining room. He plants the rickshaw there and says, I said, where? He go and eat. So I just run. I go to the dining room.
With all your luggage and
everything
sitting in the rickshaw.
Everything is in the rickshaw. He is telling me, you go and eat. And I go. Nobody asks anything. Nobody is there. Not a soul is there to ask. And you just walk in. There are no people, nothing, very few, and just few people are walking. And there I saw Sundaramji. You know Sundaram? You have heard of him. He was a poet laureate of Gujarat. So I met him in Delhi. All these people used to come to Delhi. So Sundaramji was there. Oh, and he said, oh, you've come. Very good. Very nice. Then you know what he said? Now you breathe in the ashram, mother's atmosphere. Now look at me. I just smiled. I said, okay. Then I take my dish, and nobody is there to tell you what to take, what not to take. What is there, you just help yourself. So 2 bowls I have taken, one of milk and one of curd. Can you believe it? I have taken, I have eaten, nobody has said anything, and I have gone. Then I remember, then the rickshaw fellow of course takes me, but before that, when Sundaramji told me, you breathe in mother's atmosphere, I didn't know anything. You know what I did? I came out and Then, of course, the rickshaw fellow took me to the park. Those days, this park guest house was known as Park Shabo. And that was the only guest house the ashram had. There was another one called Castellini, but that was, the first timers were sent straight to Park Guest House.
That's where I went too.
Yes. So when I went there, the moment I got off the rickshaw, there was an elderly gentleman. He said, "You're very unlucky." No, I didn't know. Mother is not coming for balcony darshan. I didn't know what is balcony darshan. So to me it didn't make any difference. But he said, "You're very unlucky." I smiled and I came in. And then of course, Mr. Pearson had given me lots of letters for going to different people. One of them was Parichanda. Then there were quite a few. So I just put my luggage, everything, had my shower and came. And then I came. I met Parichanda. Oh, he was love personified. He was so wonderful.
Yes.
I mean, really, you could just take shelter there. He was so beautiful, I can't tell you. And not only that, he told me, here you have to work. You must do some work. So I said, what should I do? He said, you come to me, I'll give you some work. So I started working in the garden service. I would take breakfast, then go to him. He would take me to different gardens, and I would I'd learned how to do cuttings, how to put cuttings, and so that is I was doing. Then there was another lady, Jumurti's mother, Mashima. She was looking after the samadhi arrangements, the flowers and all, in the afternoon, 12 o'clock. She told me, you come and help in the samadhi. So that was my job. Morning after breakfast till about 11:30 with Parichanda, then later samadhi, and then have little rest, come back again with Parichanda. So that is how I was spending my time.
What a beginning.
And there, it was then slowly, the time was passing. I was coming to know different people. Ashram was it was very compact and small. In fact, the school was right opposite, but there was not a sound coming from the school. Not a sound. No, I mean really, you wouldn't know that there is such a big school right opposite the ashram. It was really, really different. And they were different, like, nowadays also you have that in the evening, 8:15, sometimes in the library, you have the music and all this. Even then they had. But then it was usually live music.
Oh.
People would sing.
Did you hear Dilip Kumar Roy?
No, Dilip Kumar Roy I heard, but I heard in Pune later.
In
on.
Pune later. Okay.
I heard both Dilip Kumar Roy and Indiraji, I heard in Pune.
So now I have two questions. The first is about balcony darshan.
Well, balcony
And the
darshan.
second is about when you first met Mother.
Balcony darshan I didn't have because the gentleman said you're very unlucky. Actually, Mother was not well.
Yes.
She was not well and she was not coming out. She stopped balcony. That was the
At
time.
that time, yes.
Now it was getting, for the second question, and it was now getting closer to the day when I have to leave. And of course, I didn't know anything that you can meet the mother or anything. And I was not even very keen. Frankly, I was not even keen. I mean, I have seen the place and I was enjoying the whole place. I met so many people. But then, Mashima, Jumu's mother, she told me, tomorrow you come and stay here. Mother came today and you were not here. So tomorrow you come. I said, okay. So I came next day, whatever time she told me. After helping her, I would go to eat in the dining room and then come back. So I came and she said, you stand there near this. Now Praful stays in that room. Previously Pujalalji used to stay. She said, you stand there. So I was just standing there. Mother didn't come. She said, Mother will come. Mother didn't come. So I went back as usual. I said, see, these people make such a lot of fuss and she hasn't come. Then again she told me, no, tomorrow also you have to come. I said, okay. So I went. And again, she didn't come. Then I went back. And third day, again she told me, no, you have to come. So I went. And then I was just standing there looking, from where will she come? Because she stays upstairs. So I was just looking upstairs and I said to myself that if you are really the divine, I was just going to say divine, then I didn't have to say then. Just if you are really the divine, from there, from that window, she was there, and I was really trembling. I was really shaking because I threw a challenge to her. I was really trembling, and I just looked at her and did like this, and she was on that window, you know, the first window when you come from there. And she just stood there like this, for a few seconds. And then there was a beautiful, you know, just next to it, all the windows were open. There was a beautiful tiger lily. You remember that red one? On a pot, beautiful. And I think perhaps it was not in the right place, so she was telling something to somebody. And so I saw all that, and then slowly she went away.
Did you have any feeling, special feeling?
Well, the feeling
the
was...
The moment you saw her after you were
yes,
over your trembling?
Yes. No, I mean, I felt that. I felt a tremendous presence. Definitely, I felt that.
So now you are planning to return to Delhi?
Yes, of course I returned.
You did return?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So can we pick up from there? What did you do?
In Delhi, I was still in the school, but then I left and I was doing another job. I was doing another job in a library, and I started going to the ashram more regularly.
Did you meet Chaman Lal there again?
Yes, I met there again. Yes.
When did you first return here? And how did it come about?
No, after seeing Mother in 1958, After that, I didn't see her till 1964 or 65, I'm not sure. I did go to see her. Again, Dr. Indrasen came to our place, and he said that, oh, you come so many times and you haven't met the mother. You must see the mother. You must go and do pranam to her. So, I mean, I didn't even know how does one organize all these things. So he said he would organize. So he organized it. It was my birthday, and I came to her for my birthday, 1964. 64 or 65, I'm not sure, but one of the years. I came to her, I went up to her, I went to, not this room, the right on top of the Samadhi, that room, in the afternoon. And of course, those days, she would look at you for a long time. I mean, even few minutes is a long time for her. She would really, she would look at you. She would almost, it's like a X-ray machine. She's drilling through you. She's really, really drilling. And then she would just give a smile, and then you can do pranam. You can really touch her feet nicely. You can even put your head on her feet, and then she will give you toffees or whatever, blessings, cards, everything. Then you come down.
Did you give her a flower when you came up?
Yes, I gave her a flower. I gave her a flower. Sincerity. Yes.
So then you came down.
Yes.
And?
No, that I don't think I remember.
Can't talk about that.
No, there's nothing so sacrosanct about it. But I don't think I remembered anything, or it didn't really matter that much.
Did you stay in the ashram then for a while?
No, I had to go back in a couple of days.
I see.
I didn't stay for very long.
So now what happens with this great story? You're in
No.
Delhi again.
Yes, I'm in Delhi again. And then I was not really, I was not, frankly, I was not ready for this life. About that, there is no doubt about it. Then, of course, we got married. And again, Dr. Indrasen was the person.
Oh.
He got a Savitri from the mother, and he gave it to us.
Yes.
But we did get married, but we knew that we won't lead an ordinary married life. That we were quite clear about. So I went to, immediately after getting married, I went to Pune to do my library science. Those days, there was only one course in Banaras, one in Pune. So I went to Pune. There I stayed for a year, and there I used to go to Dilip Kumar Roy's place.
Oh.
Every Sunday, I used to go, Sunday morning. I used to hear him. I used to hear Indira ji. And that was very nice. After that, life was just going on. When Chamanlal finished his PhD, he sent a message to the mother, and the mother just sent him back a telegram saying that you just come. So the day he got his degree, that very day next day he took the flight and went to see the mother. And seeing the mother, or whatever conspired with them, I don't know, he sent me a telegram that mother has accepted me and I am not coming back. So you can imagine when what it would have meant to me. But anyway, I mean, I was definitely upset, but then I thought that I will deal with it. Whatever happens, we'll see what's to be done. And we were also running a very small study circle. So there were some friends, and they all came and they said, we will all look after you. Because I had a job. I was the librarian, and I had a job. So I was certainly not going to quit my job. And even, of course, when mother accepts somebody, it doesn't mean that she will accept the other person. But even if she had accepted, I would not have come. Because I didn't believe that you can do the spiritual life or yoga by proxy. Just because somebody has gone, you just don't follow. Unless it becomes your thing. It has to be your seeking. Without that, it's useless. So I did write a letter to the mother. And she wrote blessings. Then I forgot. I mean, not forgot, I just kept it. And I was doing my job. Then, of course, later on, after a few years, when I was slowly ready to come on my own, I wrote to her that I am ready now. Can I come? She said that you can come only if you are ready to serve the divine. You ask yourself. And I was not ready. So I didn't raise the question. I didn't come. Then, after quite some time, I again wrote to her. I won't say ready, but I was not resisting. I wrote to her that I feel I am ready, so can I come now? She said, she didn't say, she was actually not well. Nolinida, he was her secretary, Nolinida sent me a telegram saying, Mother says, come at once. I don't know whether it was at once or come as soon as possible, something like that. So I just took it as at that. Then when mother has said come as soon as possible or something like that, and I am still holding on to my job, so then again I wrote a letter saying that shall I resign from my job? Because coming is one thing, shall I resign? Because, let's face it, I was security conscious, and I didn't know at that time that she's the source of all security. But so I wanted to hold on to my job. So shall I resign from my job? Again, Nolinida replied, Mother says, resign immediately. So that's what I did. You have to give 1 month's notice. I gave, and then I came. And when I reached here, before that I was telling a friend of mine that when I reach, I want to see the mother first. She said, how can you see? She's so busy and she's not well. How can you see? I didn't argue, I just kept quiet. And lo and behold, I reached in the morning, whatever time, and I had some gifts for her. So I went up. I didn't want to go to her. I just wanted to give those gifts and run away. Give it to somebody who will carry the gifts. And it was Champaklalji. He said, He just told me, go and sit there. I said, where? He said, there. Then I said, you take. He said, no, you will give. So I just sat there, whole, I don't know how many hours, from 9 to 12. People were coming and going, coming and going. Finally, I think I was the last person. I went to her and I gave her the gift. And of course, she kept it and she took my hands. And when she took my hands, I was absolutely floored. She took, and you know, she really fondled my hands. And I just went on sitting in front of her. It was so, I can't tell you what a moment it was. What a moment it was. You know, she taking your hands. I mean, I didn't offer. She's just taking my hands and she's just fondling them. Such a blessing.
So you stayed.
Yes.
And I'd like to know if there were other of the elder sadhaks that you had friendships with or you were close to.
Kirodda. He was a wonderful man. Even Aurobindo has said about him. In the bulletin it has come, which year I don't know. Somebody said, I think it was Nirodha, who said that, oh, Kirod is a very good worker. Aurobindo said, only a good worker? Kirod is a man of utter devotion. Oh, he just said, only a good worker? Utter devotion, and some other adjective he gave.
Nolini had replied to you twice.
Yes.
Did you meet him?
Yes, I met him. Yeah, I met him. I met him.
To whom did you ask questions, if anyone?
Parichanda.
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 How wonderful.
Parichanda and Kirodda, both. Whenever those days ashram was very small. Even in 72 it was not like this. And all these elders, they were full of love, full of concern for the new people who came.
Did Mother come to the playground at any time? No, it was already over now.
68.
68 was over, that's right, yes.
So he settled down in 68, permanent.
No. 72.
72.
72.
Mm-hmm.
In between, I used to send letters, cards to the mother, and once I sent her a gift. I don't even remember what it must be, some perfume or something, and I had wrapped it in a very beautiful paper. She saw that paper and she called Champaklal and she said, I want this paper for Sri Aurobindo's centenary. So now Champaklal ji, what will he do? He knew that it is from the gift wrapping, so he called Chamanlal that this is gift wrapping from Shipra. So can you ask her to send us this paper? Now Chamanlal wrote, Mother wants this paper for blessings. Now see, blessings, how many, paper, what, from where you get, it's not easy. I mean, it's okay, Mother is wanting, but how many sheets? What do you want? When do you want? So I went to the shop from where I got. That was a very big departmental store. They said, but we can't give you that because we also have limited stocks. We can't give you. I said, then, but you tell me. So they gave me an address in England, the wholesalers in England. So again I wrote to them. They said, yes, how many, what do you want, all these things, and when do you want it? So I told them that I want them in different packets, because you see, if you send one consignment, mother would have to pay customs duty, and they won't even let it enter, because those days they were very strict, and it's a luxury item. You know what it was? It was on white paper, maple leaves, silver maple leaves. I still have that blessing packet, one of them. That is what she wanted for Sri Aurobindo's centenary. So they said, okay, you give us the names. We will post directly from England, and you make the payment, whatever. So I had to again find friends in England who would make the payment, and the packets would come. So packets came in different names, Parichanda, Udar, Gauri, I mean different names, and the blessings were being made. The final packet I brought, I wanted to give it to the mother myself. So that is how Champaklalji said, no, you give yourself.
Were you still working with Parichand, or did you take up other work?
No, when I came to live here, I was working with Jayantilal
Oh,
in archives.
tell us about the work.
I was working in archives. I started with, because being a librarian, I had that background. I was working with the indexing of Vande Mataram. And also I used to help Jayantilal with correspondence.
Did you do any sports?
No, I didn't do any sports, not at all.
In 72, when you came, you had Mother's Terrace Darshan.
Yes, yes.
So,
Yes.
how many times you had in 72 Mother's Terrace Darshan?
That year we had all the darshans. August darshan, I came in July. I met her first in July. Then in August, there were lots of people. We had darshan. Then again November. Then February again next year, 59. 73. And 73,
Must have been August, the last one.
August was the last one.
Yes.
August was the last one.
Tell us just a little.
See, about the last
we were all
darshan,
there.
I won't be able to say much, because I remember we were all standing, and in August, when she went in, I was really, I was not happy. I saw her, but when she went inside, I was not happy, and I was just standing on the dispensary wall. I was just going on standing there. Then, of course, everybody went back and everything. But from August only, even before that actually, frankly, we used to go, I was living very close to the ashram. So I used to go to the ashram almost any time, even early morning, late at night, 11 o'clock. Not 11, quarter to 11, 10:30. And you know, there were hardly any people. Even now at 11 o'clock, there are not many people. And then you would hear the mother. And then, you know, you felt very bad. Sometimes she would cry. Sometimes she would, you knew that she was having pain. Sometimes she would say, ants are crawling. Ants are crawling. 2-3 times she would repeat. And we would feel, you know, those few people who are at the bottom, we would feel, what is this? Why are ants crawling? Why can't they do something? You know, a normal reaction.
Yes, yes.
Then if she's saying something, if she's having pain, Pranav is telling something, anyway, it's okay. So we used to hear regularly her pain. And we knew that she's not really. And once I heard, I want to walk. I want to walk. You know, the voice was becoming louder and louder. I want to walk. Again, nobody would take her for a walk. Then one day, I don't know what happened to me, at early morning, you know, my house was just, my flat faced the bakery. And the bakery lights used to be on at about 3:30 those days. They were very early. And so I didn't know what it was. I just woke up with a very, very, very funny, not funny, very strange, I won't call it dream, very strange premonition. I woke up. I didn't wake up. I mean, I was woken up. Mother was, you know, because she used to, we knew, na, she's right there. So she has just come from her window and she's wearing a beautiful purple gown, purple velvet gown, whole gown, and her hair is beautifully done, golden hair, beautifully done, and she's looking from the window, and she's one, you know, we were 2-3 ladies who were doing pranam, and one lady, can you imagine, she's talking in Bengali to that lady that, how are you? I have not seen you for a long time. And this lady was absolutely gone. She didn't know anything, how to react. She was just... And I just looked at, she was looking so beautiful, I really can't tell you. In a second, in a trice, that thing changed. And I was taken to the meditation room. And there was thump, 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 noise, sound, thumping sound. And I see some awful people, awful people. They were human beings. They were in the shape of human beings, but I don't think they were human beings. And they were horrible colors, red and green, absolutely. They were wearing all those, and they were coming down. And after that, Mother was coming. And Mother was absolutely, she was just like we saw her later. And when Mother came, I at once woke up. I mean, not waking up there. I just said, and you know, all these people near the meditation room in that, not in the passage, they were all running. They will just go and fall at her feet. And I just said, nobody will touch her. I really said it so loud, nobody will touch her. With this sentence, I woke up. Then I saw what is the time. The bakery light was on. So I just couldn't do anything. I just kept quiet, sat, and I went on taking Mother's name. Then when it was morning, I came down. I went to Kirodda and Parichanda, to both of them. I said, this is what has happened. So both of them said, you write this letter and send it to the Mother. I said, you're crazy. I'll send it to the Mother. They won't take it. And they will think that I'm mad or something. No, I won't. I'm writing this and I'm keeping it near Mother. So these were the only two people who knew that this is what. This was just few days, about 3-4 weeks before Mother left.
Did they comment further about the letter?
No,
No. And you kept it?
I kept it.
Did you show that letter to Nolinida?
No, Nolinita, I didn't show.
And that day...
I didn't even tell her. I only told Parichanda and Kirota.
Kirot. And then the day came when she left,
Yes.
and we were all there.
And when she left, and when I went to see her at 2 o'clock in the morning, when I saw her, I said, "Oh my God, what have you done to yourself?" Really, I mean, she was just skin and bones. I said, "You are you are looking like a Greek goddess, but what have you done?" And anyway.
And the ashram today, compared to those earlier days, what do you see? What do you feel?
Ashram, as far as the mother's creation and mother's work is there, it is definitely growing. Something is definitely happening, whether we can perceive it or not. I mean, I would really not. I mean, I'm
Yes.
nobody to comment. And
Yeah, but that's quite a comment. And for yourself, do you feel guided by Mother?
all the time, in everything, even the most mundane things, I just have to tell her, and
Your work today? What do you do today in the ashram?
I work in that office, where Chamanlal's office.
We're very, very grateful to you. It
Thank
has
you.
been a most wonderful,
Thank you.
wonderful
Thank you.
talk.
I mean, I
Thank
must
you.
have just talked, I rambled.
No, you didn't ramble at all. So, Shipra, yes, we've gone over an hour.
Thank you.
Yes,
Over an hour?
hour and 5 minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, we're grateful.